Inadequate care at early childhood centres, including the flouting of minimum staffing levels, may be causing babies and infants to suffer what's being described as toxic stress levels. Early childhood advocates and teachers say in some cases there are not enough suitably qualified adults to ensure children are, well, reassured and happy. They're urging the government to raise the minimum number of staff and qualified teachers. Here's our education correspondent, John Gerritsen.
By law, there must be one staff member for every 5 children under the age of 2 in an early childhood service. This teacher, who spoke to RNZ News on condition of anonymity, says her centre repeatedly flouted that regulation. She says the effect on teachers was bad, and she can only imagine how it affected the babies and infants they were caring for.
Our teachers were highly stressed. We were always living in flight mode, and if our teachers are living in flight mode, just imagine what is happening to our children every single day, especially the ones that come from non-desirable homes. These children are constantly in a state of living in flight mode. It's not good enough.
Victoria University education professor Carmen Daly says small children need close care and attention, and without it they can suffer what she describes as toxic levels of stress.
If babies, infants are in high-stress environments for a long period of time, then that stress becomes toxic. When they cannot have access to adults who will soothe them and help them deal with that high levels of stress, then they shut down. They just basically go into withdrawal.
New Zealand's 1:5 staff to infant ratio for under 2s lags that of England, where there must be 1 staff member for every 3 children under 2, and Australia, where the ratio is 1:4. Professor Daly says the government must improve the ratio to 1:3.
You can't be an adult who responds to every child if you have too many children. It stands to reason. So research has shown us that the ideal ratio with under 2-year-olds is 1 adult to every 3. Our regulations stipulate 1:5. Now, in some research, you actually find the term 1:4 is good enough, but 1:3 is ideal, and we really need to move to that ideal.
Maria Johnson owns 5 early childhood centres which have more than the minimum staffing ratios in Auckland and Wellington. She says the minimum ratios aren't safe, even for older children.
1:5 for under 2s is ridiculous, and I think 1:10 is just not manageable. You just don't get safe environments for children. And early childhood education is for care as well, but it's also for education, and so we need to make sure that the facilities are providing both, and I don't think that's happening here in New Zealand anymore.
Maria Johnson says the government should require 1 teacher for every 3 children under 2 and 1 teacher for every 8 children over 2. Improving teacher ratios for infants and toddlers and regulating the number of children who can be grouped together were Labour Party election policies. The Education Minister, Chris Hipkins, says they'll be part of the government's strategic plan for early childhood education.
One of the things that the current government is committed to doing is looking at whether we've got the child to teacher ratios right, whether we've got the minimum qualification level requirements for those teachers right. Those are both issues that are live for us.
Chris Hipkins says a blueprint for change should be ready by the end of this year. Mō te hōtaka o te ahi, ko John Gerritsen tēnei.
And there'll be more on safety worries in early childhood education on Insight just after 8 o'clock, of course.